Hello, welcome to Motor Mouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra.
I'm Dan.
And as always, we are here in the beautiful 1938 Reading Diner that is here on display at the museum. And we'd love to see you come visit us here if you haven't already, or we'd love to see you again too. We're open 7 days a week, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're at 85 South Walnut Street in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. And if you'd like to give us a call, you can reach us at 610-367-2090 or visit our website, boyertownmuseum.org, for more information. Now, I said we're open 7 days a week, but we are closed major holidays. And of course, coming here at the end of December, we got a couple of those. So we will be closed on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. But we will be open, especially that week, right in between those two holidays. If you have family in from out of town, bring them on over to the museum. That'd be a great time to come visit us. So we hope to see you then. And that's really all I have, because, you know, we're kind of winding down with our events right now. It's getting a little too busy, you know, with the holidays to do some events here. But that doesn't mean we aren't winding down here at the show tonight. We got some cool stuff tonight, don't we?
We always have cool stuff.
We always do.
Yeah.
So I have got a diagram here of a spark plug. So I'm assuming you're going to enlighten us about spark plugs a little bit.
I am. What we're going to be talking about, again, is spark plugs. Not just any old spark plugs, because I usually don't talk about any old anything.
No, it's not your style.
No, it isn't. And right here in my hand is a genuine spark plug, and it's a marine spark plug.
Huh.
So it's either for the boat or for the Marines. No, I think it's for a boat. Anyway, a spark plug, and I just have it here for you to see. You all know what a spark plug is, but there it is. And what I'm going to be talking about is during World War II, some things going on with spark plugs. And if you've studied history or have listened to my presentation for the past year talking about World War II, you know there were conserving things. There might have been short supplies and different materials and such. Well, spark plugs is one of them. And so I'm going to be talking about reconditioning spark plugs. Now, again, here's our spark plug, and the ceramic, which is this kind of white part right here, after a while would get a coating, a deposit from the leaded fuel. They used leaded fuel back then, and you had that. And so these two engineers out of General Motors, and I will tell you what they are in a moment, Arthur Fry and Lloyd Withrow. And I looked these guys up. Lloyd Withrow was department head of the General Motors Research Laboratories Fuels and Lubricants Department. So he was kind of high up there. And I noticed there was an award named after him also. Anyway, they came up with this idea to get rid of the lead deposits off of the spark plug. Now, if you had these deposits on there, it could create a short, so your spark plug wouldn't work, okay? During World War II, again, I don't think you could go to the local store and get spark plugs. They might have been in short supply, everything for the military. So they had an idea where they could recondition it. So I'm going to read you some of this patent. Hopefully it's understandable. I had to read it a couple times myself, but we'll try this. Engine deposits from leaded gas affect the electrical resistance of spark plug insulators at high temperatures. Insulator, again, is the ceramic part. It has been proposed heretofore to sandblast spark plugs in an effort to remove the leaded deposits from the porcelains and thus to minimize the effects of the temperature on the conductivity of the porcelains. We have found that the sandblasting may have comparatively small effect in improving the electrical resistance at high temperatures once these properties have been affected by the lead deposits. So in other words, they're talking about just blasting the deposit off, but it doesn't help enough. So they come up with a treatment. It says we treat the spark plug porcelains with a phosphorus compound or compounds, and it gives some different types that I'm not going to try to pronounce. The phosphorus compound is applied to the spark plug porcelain and then to the spark plug, and then the spark plug is heated in any suitable manner by heating in an oven or a torch to about 700 to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit to promote the desired reaction of the phosphorus compound or compounds with the deposits in or on the spark plug porcelain. So there we go. They had this idea, you blast it. I have a chart here, and I'm not even going to get into that, and they give the readings. You have a brand new spark plug is the best resistance of that porcelain. They have one that has the deposits on. Of course, that's the worst one. They have the sandblasted. It's not too much better. And then this coating of this phosphorus material on it is best. It's best for recondition. It's not as good as a brand new one, though. Then they also came up with another idea, and I'll read this. The spark plug may also be reconditioned by installing the plugs to be treated after a preliminary sandblasting in an engine and operating the engine at or near full load on a gasoline containing up to 0.3% of an organic phosphorus compound. So in other words, you get this sandblaster, you can put this phosphorus compound. I don't know where you could get that stuff back in 1940, whatever. But you put it a little bit in your gas and let it ride, and that would coat it. And again, that wasn't as good as them putting a compound on it and baking it in an oven or something like that. So, but it was getting there. So anyway, they came up with this thing, this idea, and there was a company. Great, I don't even have their name now. Yes, okay, Perfect Process Spark Plug Company. It was in Brooklyn, New York. They actually did this using the GM patent, and they were selling these reconditioned spark plugs. And on the boxes said something about recondition and stuff. And but Champion Spark Plug didn't think this was such a good idea, so they took him to court. Actually, they took him to the Supreme Court. Ooh. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they took all the way to the top, especially during war times and stuff. Oh, I got to mention this before I say that. The patent that I was talking about on May 8th, 1943, that was the application date. 2 years later, on May 8th, 1945, is when they were actually awarded the patent, which was VE Day when we won the war in Europe. Huh. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, anyway, Supreme Court, this is 1947. They step in and they had this hearing and such, and I have this, thanks to the internet, both the patent and the Supreme Court stuff. I have everything here. It was Champion Spark Plug Company versus Sanders. Sanders was the name of the people who ran this Perfect Process Spark Plug Company. And Champion sued because their name or logo was not stripped off the plug. Now I could see the reconditioned plug and your name's still on it, and there might be some friction there. So Supreme Court said that the company infringed on Champion's trademark, but it ended up it wasn't guilty of fraud or damage. So I have a couple other little things to read here of what was on the labels. Before it went to the Supreme Court, on the boxes it said, the process used in renewing this plug has been developed through 10 years continuous experience. The spark plug has been tested for firing under compression before packing. It also said this spark plug is guaranteed to be a selected used spark plug, thoroughly renewed in a perfect mechanical condition, and is guaranteed to give satisfactory service for 10,000 miles. Champion didn't like that. That wasn't good enough. So Supreme Court stepped in and said, add this to it also. And they also added this statement: used spark plugs originally made by Champion Spark Plug Company, repaired and made fit for use up to 10,000 miles by Perfect Reconditioned Spark Plug Company, 1133 Bedford Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And so that's what happened. Also, not only did they have the wording there, and Champion could still be seen on the spark plug, the plugs had to be painted gray, brown, green, or orange. And we're talking this metal part here, like where it's knurled here. It doesn't really show it there, but down here where you screw it in. And I went online and I thought it would be cool to get online, get on eBay and buy one of these spark plugs.
And?
Didn't have any.
No.
There was a picture of a green one, but it was so tiny it wouldn't show up that good. So sorry. So anyway, this is what was going on again. This is it started in 1943 by these engineers applying for the patent. It became developed in 1945, 1947. Champion steps in and says, let's straighten this out. So the Supreme Court was kind of a good negotiator. It was kind of a compromise because so that's it.
So what happened to this reconditioning? Do we think after the?
I think that after World War II,
was it needed? So
more spark plugs became available, and especially probably in the 50s. After Korea was done, I don't know.
Obsolete idea eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not reconditioned.
No.
Yeah.
It's not painted green.
No. So that's it.
All right.
That's World War II spark plugs.
All right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, next we've spent all this year building up World War II.
Yeah.
Now we've got a World War II
We got the real deal.
actual vehicle to go look at.
Better than a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go see the
deal.
real thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll meet you in the lobby. All right. Well, tonight we are very fortunate that Bill Schallenberger has joined us, and he's brought this really neat vehicle, which I have not seen in person before. So I'm interested to learn more about it. Bill, what is this that you've brought for us this evening?
We have a 1945 Studebaker M29C, nicknamed the Weasel.
So I'm going to ask you right off, why they call it a weasel? Do you think?
Because it could get in and out of places, real tight places, travel on ground that was unable to be traveled by a wheeled vehicle, and, go places where the normal vehicle couldn't get to.
Right. And I notice it's a tracked vehicle, so it could go over a lot. So, and it's not that big of a vehicle, so I assume the weight was kind of light.
Weight's comparable to a Jeep.
Okay.
I'd say probably close in the 4,000 pounds.
Okay.
Yep.
And also, now I look at the Jeep and it's sitting on the ground in 4 little patches, whereas this is really spread out over, many.
The tracks give it a very high flotation and soft ground. Yes. Yep.
So it does float then?
Yes.
I mean, you said soft ground. Does it float in the water too?
This is a C model. Most C models left the factory with flotation equipment on it. There would be a large tank in the front, a large tank in the back, flotation tanks. It was equipped with a capstan winch. It had a surf shield, also 2 big rudders in the back, and it would have surf shields on the side to cover the tracks.
Okay.
And you could be amphibious. Yep.
What was I going to say? You said something about in the water. How did this thing motivate in the water? Because I've seen like those amphicars, you familiar? And they got the little propeller in the back and stuff. This didn't have a propeller.
No propeller.
How did it move?
The rudders and the tracks. The tracks were the propulsion.
Really?
Yep.
So it didn't move that quick.
It wasn't that quick. 3 to 4 miles an hour in the water.
Wow.
It's better than walking through the water. Yeah.
If you had to cross a lake or a pond, or if you had to get to the other side, and if there's the only way to do it, this would get you to the other side.
So.
Yep.
So 3 to 4 miles per hour in the water. What about on land?
About 35 miles an hour top speed.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty
It's a
good.
3-speed transmission, high and low range. It's got a 2-speed rear differential in the back, and it has a Jeep transmission.
Okay. And I was thinking, now you say 35 miles an hour. I'm thinking probably most Jeeps probably went, I mean, or were Jeeps a little quicker than that?
Jeeps would do between 45 and 50.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. They didn't want the soldiers zipping around too quickly.
Right. Right.
So you say you never saw one of these?
Not in person, no.
You ever hear of them? Besides me
Not
talking
till
about
you
it?
mentioned
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've maybe seen them in photos. I just didn't know what I was
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
before.
A lot of people see the tracks and they call it, hey, that's a neat little tank you have over there.
Yeah.
But it's not a tank. There's no armor at all. It's just a track vehicle to get in places where you can't get a normal wheeled vehicle. You know, the snow. They use it a lot in the snow. There was pictures of this landing on D-Day on June 6th. They had these coming on the beaches,
Okay.
hauling equipment in. They built sleds, big wooden sleds for the back. And
All
it's
right.
for the snow conditions, and they would put ski equipment and ammunition and their supplies, and they would get through heavy snow with that.
Now, how do you use this? I mean, do you wait for a good snowstorm and you're out?
Wait for a good snowstorm, and we use it. We have a place up in the Poconos, and we're able to take it off-road up there. In the snow, it really comes into its own. It's a totally different vehicle. It rides on hard top, but it doesn't like it. It likes the softer ground. The snow, it just seems to float. It's a quieter machine on the snow, and it's really fun to drive in the snow.
I did a little bit of research before coming here, and I read that the first ones that they made sort of were camouflage for snow.
Right.
Am I right? Okay.
Yeah, the very
and then-
first ones,
Yeah.
Model T15. It was all white with camouflage, white and black. It was a 2-seater. The Studebaker engine was in the rear. The driver and the co-driver, it was just 1 and 2 seats, and the driver actually sat right down on top of the differential.
Okay. So it wasn't just a different color. It was
a different
the whole
machine.
thing was engineered
It was a different
differently.
machine. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Had a different track design, and then they came out with a T24, which closely resembles to this. Then they had the M29, which was not a float model, and then the M29C, which was the float model.
Which this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was between the T24 and the M20, I think there was a T28 model.
Okay.
There was a lot of prototypes, a lot of production going on, trying to get the best vehicle together quickly. Yeah.
So now, and I see like 4 seats in here, the driver, and then 3 across the back there. So is that it, or can more people pile on, or is
As
it?
many as you want.
Really? Okay.
If you have to go somewhere and there's 6, 7 guys, they're jumping in. Mostly it was a driver and equipment. Mostly it was a driver and equipment.
I was telling people that I know that we're getting this weasel in
Right.
here, talking about on TV, and most people haven't heard of it,
Right.
including you probably. And I said, well, they're probably about the size. It's about the size of a Jeep, because I saw this at the McCungie Truck Show a few years ago. And so now that I'm seeing both of them nearby, I'm thinking, probably about right. And so the capabilities of what it carries are probably close to the same
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
So,
Yep. This would tow a little bit more than the Jeep.
okay. Okay.
Yep.
Did were these ever outfitted with like mounted machine guns or anything? That sort of thing.
It was never a factory option. The factory never built machine gun mounts for these, but you would see pictures of the guys in the field, the GIs, if they had a need for it. The guys in the mechanical shop or the local the machine shop guys that follow them in those trucks and trailers that Boyertown built,
Yep, I was just going to say that.
they'd go over to those guys and say, we need a machine gun mount for the back of this, and they would weld it, make it, and install it.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were used, the French used these early on in Vietnam.
really.
Oh.
And
Okay.
you would see the French army with these, and then they had equipped with machine guns. Yep.
So this is the part where you say, Kendra, tell us the history about this particular vehicle, where it came from.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. So, Bill, where did you come across this particular weasel then?
I don't know the background of this vehicle that well. I do know
That's a silly question. He doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
it came.
sorry.
It came from a collector in New Jersey. I purchased it from him in 2006, and that gentleman did a little work on it for me when I bought it from him, and then I did some mechanical work to the engine, and I purchased a top. It's the factory tops that came with were canvas, of course. This is another weasel enthusiast, made some vinyl tops. He decided he wanted a vinyl top for his, so he made a small batch of them, and I purchased one. But I don't know the background. I do know it came from Norway. It was surplused after the United States used it, surplused into Norway. The Norway government or army used it for a number of years. It was probably surplus sometime in the 70s and came back to.
Those Norwegians are pretty good,
Yeah.
don't you think?
They are.
Yeah.
I'm Norwegian.
Yeah. It was rebuilt in '58 in the Letterkenny Army Depot.
Okay.
There's a steel tag riveted to the engine block that gives us the date and when it was rebuilt. The engine was rebuilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh,
I was going to say
Go ahead.
about the engine. I know you said it had a Jeep transmission, but it does have.
The Studebaker Champ Flathead 6. Yep. 12-volt electrical system.
so, okay, it's a rebuild. So, you know, if you need parts, they're out there. So.
They're out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find them. You just have to, some are rarer than others. Some you can find. You just have to pay a little bit more for them.
I assume most of the stuff that you would have to replace is the mechanical thing, and if it has a rebuilt engine,
Right.
that's a little more.
Yeah, the engine is your standard Studebaker 6.
Right.
There is some differences a little bit. The water pump's different, but the mechanicals, the pistons and stuff like that are readily available. Yeah.
So, how many of these are in existence now?
I don't know the exact number. The total production was 15,902 of all from start to finish, but I don't know how many are running and on the road today yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
They probably got about 12,000 of them still in Norway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those Norwegians.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you say you take it out,
Yeah.
up in the Poconos
Yeah.
through the woods, and
Yeah.
it travels good,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pretty rugged. And
There's some other weasel enthusiasts that'll take them to a reenactment. World War II Battle of the Bulge reenactment at Indiantown Gap.
okay,
There's usually one or two guys that brings their weasel to that event, and they'll load it up with some stuff and take it out into the field and reenact the Battle of the Bulge.
do you reenact?
I do.
it?
I
You
do.
do, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't take the weasel. I take a World War II Dodge truck.
Okay, So, yeah, I know you had other vehicles.
Weapons carrier.
so,
Yeah. I take that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know why it has two sets of windshield wipers?
We were looking
Oh.
at that today. That's a very good question. I guess if the electric wipers fail, the lower wipers or the electric ones, if they would fail and you were in the middle of nowhere and you needed to clean the windshield off, the top one is
manual?
Manual.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's the handle
Yeah.
here.
Yep. Yep. And the weasel, one of the rarest things that I think on the weasel is the wipers. Now these, believe it or not, these aren't the correct wiper arms or blades, but the weasel decided to use a wiper that nobody else did. Okay?
Okay.
Most companies at that time would say, we need a wiper blade. I think the Jeep uses this kind, we'll just use the Jeep, but they didn't decide that wasn't good enough for them. So even though we have wipers on here, the arms and the blades are very difficult to find because they are weasel only.
Okay, so they are authentic,
No, those are not.
Oh.
Those are close,
close.
but they're not the real McCoy.
Okay,
The ones that they're very hard to find.
okay.
Very hard to find.
There's nobody making them
Nobody makes them.
because there's probably not enough weasels.
There's not
to
enough weasels.
recoup
To,
them
like the
costs.
Jeep, most everything's been reproduced today for the Jeep. You can purchase, them, but the weasels, there's not many guys out making parts for weasels.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So-
Yep.
So that's, any other questions?
What did we forget?
I don't know.
What did we forget, Bill? Any other strange features we missed or unique or?
No, I can't think of any.
It is a really neat vehicle.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah, I'm glad to have it on display here at the museum. It's my first time here, and it's a great place.
Yeah.
And
And now we're going to have this for
Yep.
a while,
yeah,
correct?
Yep.
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 Okay, so all you viewers out there.
Yep.
Got some time to come see it in
come
person.
on down and
Gander,
check
yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Bill,
All right.
for bringing it, and I appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
Again, I saw this 5 years ago, 6 years ago at the McCungy Truck Show, and I remember taking a picture.
Yep.
So when we were thinking about World War II vehicles, I thought, you know, I know where a weasel. Well, I didn't know where it was,
Right.
but I'm looking at this picture. Well, it's on my computer and
Right.
zooming up, and I could hardly read your name. And you know, I searched and searched, and I finally found you.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Yeah, you called me, what, August maybe? I forget.
No, it was before that because I saw you at McCungy this
Okay.
past year.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
where I met you face to face. So,
Yeah, McCungy's a great truck show. I always like to go there, and
a lot of military stuff.
a lot of military stuff shows up. And I was the only weasel there. I don't think anybody ever had a weasel at the McCungy Truck Show. Everybody was asking me
But
about it.
you sure got lots of attention then, I'm
Yeah,
sure, up
yeah.
there.
Hey, look at the little tank.
There's always, you know, and at that show, right in the corner of the show is all the military.
Yeah.
There's a whole row of them there.
Yeah.
And then there was a whole nother batch this past year
Yeah.
on the opposite
On the
side of
opposite
the park.
side, yeah.
And, that even had a World War I vehicle in there.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again for bringing it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great.
And make sure you all home get a chance to come in and see it.
Come on down and check out the Studebaker.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, we're standing by our autocar truck, but before I get to autocar, I'm actually going to show you a new item that we have
Advertisement?
for sale. Yes, this is
Okay.
a little advertisement for our gift shop here at the museum. We have calendars for 2017. They have great photos of stuff that's right here in the museum, and they are for sale here at the museum, $9, and they're really gorgeous photos. Don't you agree?
Yes, I looked at that. And you know, if you come in and buy it and you see Kendra, she'll probably autograph it for you.
Would you autograph it if you were here too?
I would.
Okay.
I would.
See, there you go. So come on in, and of course, it supports the museum, so it's a good cause too. And they're really nice. So if you need a calendar for 2017, you know where to find one. Well, like I said, we're standing by our 1916 autocar truck, and I'm not going to talk too much about autocar. Maybe we'll do that in a different show. We could do some autocar history. But autocars started in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, later moved to Exton.
Well, actually, they started in Pittsburgh, I believe.
Well, actually, that is
Yeah.
true.
Okay. Sorry.
Got me.
Sorry.
Yeah, they were in Pittsburgh for what, a year maybe?
A week.
Something. Yeah, it was very
a
brief.
short time.
Yeah, and they made their name for themselves in Ardmore, and they did actually start out building cars. We don't have an autocar car.
We've pursued it though.
Yeah,
So if anybody out there has one,
let us know.
we'll find.
You'd like to have one.
We'll put it right here somewhere.
Yeah, they're tiny,
Well, not that tiny, but
tinier than a weasel.
yes.
But someone sent me this actually. This was, it's reprinted in a 1939 Ardmore Chronicle newspaper, but the original item was published in 1901. And this was just kind of interesting. On November 10th, 1901, Ardmore had new cause for pride in the Ardmore Autocar, which took copies of the Philadelphia Press to Atlantic City before the train carrying other newspapers had reached the shore resort. Despite the handicap of bad roads and breakdowns, it was reported at the time an average speed of 15 miles an hour was attained, and last Sunday, Atlantic City was just sitting down to its breakfast when the Ardmore automobile laden with newspapers, came dashing across the meadows and into the town.
Dashing across the
Yes.
meadows and into the town.
I didn't know Atlantic City had meadows.
It's the tidal basin stuff.
Yeah. To the resort town.
Yeah.
Just thought that was neat. We always hear about their trucks. Their car line wasn't. I don't know how long they made cars. Not for terribly long.
No.
Not because they weren't good cars necessarily, but auto cars seem to figure out trucks a lot quicker than a lot of other companies. They were kind of the first to get these big, heavy-duty haulers. This is heavy-duty right here. And then, coincidentally, I got another piece, a little tidbit of auto car history. You'll see a photo up there of two gentlemen in an auto car truck, which actually looks very similar in the front to our truck. It has a different body style. The one we have is I think they do call it a barrel truck, actually.
Really? Okay. Sounds good.
It comes with a ramp. It looks like a little ladder at the side, but it actually is supposed to be a ramp that would hook onto those two black bars, and you could roll the barrels up that ramp. That slat there is removable, so the barrel can roll up.
Right.
So this one's a little different body style, but the front looks the same. And I don't have a year for this truck, but just the styling, I'm thinking it's about the same as ours. But you can see on here, it's also a moving and hauling company truck. This one's called Hill and Perry, and it's in Ardmore, the same town in which the truck was built, 220 Chestnut Avenue. And the gentleman who sent this to me is with the Lower Merion Historical Society, and they have a lot of auto car material. And this was one of the first African-American businesses, really, I guess, in the town, and it was in business for decades. And the address there of 220 Chestnut Avenue, right now it's a double house, and because I just looked it up on Google Maps, and that's what the house looks like today, but that's where this company was out of, Hill and Perry. But it was just neat to see. We don't really have any photos of our truck in action when it was being used, but it was neat to see this one, which is pretty similar. A nice period photo of it. So.
I'm gonna ask you about the first thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
They
the
went
the
from,
train race.
Yeah, and they started in Philadelphia, was it?
Well, it
And what's the
doesn't
land-
say that. It says it took copies of the Philadelphia Press, which I assume was some kind of newspaper or magazine. I have to look that up now.
But they said 15 miles an hour in 1901, I believe you said.
An average speed. Yep.
Which is,
Yep.
I'm thinking that's pretty good.
It sounds pretty good.
And
Yeah. I mean, they dropped their cars, but like I said, I don't think it was because they were bad cars. They just realized they could make more money with the
Yeah.
trucks, because who else was really their competition at the time? Mack. I think they were even a little
there was people out there.
earlier, but
But them driving across New Jersey, they didn't have any hills. I know that because it's
Flat,
flat as a
flat,
pancake
flat.
all across. But it is interesting.
I mean,
like
I
that.
assume it would have left from Philly or maybe Ardmore, which
Or
close enough.
the ferry on the other side
Something.
in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was all across the state. So
And it's neat how, the newspaper refers to it as the Ardmore Auto Car. It does that a couple times, which that wasn't the name of it. It was the auto car, but take town pride in
right. Oh yeah.
in their successful business. So, yeah, that must have been a sight to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I think now we will return to the diner.
To the diner. Yeah.
A few little things in the diner to wrap up.
Yep. Here we are back in the diner, and Kendra and I have some things we wanted to talk about. And if you've watched the show enough, you realize I like oddball stuff, like spark plugs that were refurbished and all that kind of thing. I came across something online, and I don't know how I did it, I did know how he did it. I was looking through an old magazine online. You go to Google Books, you can see the stuff from 100 years ago. And they have like new inventions for cars. And I kind of look through them and get interesting stuff. And I came across something. It's out of the Scientific American magazine, May 16th, 1913. So 103 years
old.
Okay. And it had something here, and I'm going to read it to you in a moment here. And I also found it in a publication, U.S. Patent Office, from March 25th, 1913. And I tried finding the actual patent for it because I figured I'd have a picture to show you. I searched and searched and searched, could not find it. I have two little tiny pictures here. They don't really explain that much, and so hopefully I can talk visually. Is that a good term?
We'll go with
Talk
that,
visually,
yeah.
okay. And this is something, being I didn't find a patent, I figure it never really happened. The guy applied for it, and who knows what happened. But it's a gentleman, Benjamin Douglas Jr., out of Orange, New Jersey, patented this. And it's called a pneumatic anti-slip device for power-driven vehicles. And before I go tell you more about this, I asked a guy I work with who used to drive school bus on the side. And you remember school buses used to have these chutes right before the rear window or before the rear wheels, and they put sand out there and stuff. I says, I don't see them anymore. He says, that's because they used to either dump all of it out at once or it would clog up and dump none of them. And he says, now what they're going to is like a chain type of thing, and you have chains that are rotating like this that go underneath the wheel, and anyway, so that's what they're doing now, apparently. So the reason I say that is these devices that poured sand out in front of the bus wheels 113 or 103 years ago, they were working on this. So the pneumatic anti-slip device for power-driven vehicles from 1913, and I'll actually read one of the things I have here. It says, okay, B. Douglas Jr. of Llewellyn Park, New Jersey, which I never heard of that. I guess Orange is another word for it.
That's near Thomas Edison's home, I
Really?
believe.
Okay, so that would be Orange, yeah. Has invented and perfected an apparatus whereby a car can instantly prevented from skidding without the aid of anti-skid chains or similar devices. And you have to think back then, they didn't have a tread on the tire. I mean, they had a tread, but it was a smooth tread. You didn't have all the little indentations that you always see on tires now. So even on a wet pavement, it was probably slick to drive. And so this could come in handy, you know, let alone driving in the snow, which they probably hardly ever did. So anyway, anti-skid chains or similar devices you didn't need. By pressure on a foot lever, he makes the exhaust gases from the engine spread a sheet of sand in front and on either side of the drive wheels so that the tires will be prevented from slipping sideways or skidding. At the same time, the gases are substantially muffled and silenced so that there is no objectionable noise as by throwing out the muffler. So it's actually somehow the muffler is, the exhaust is pushing this sand out. And that's why I wish I could have read the patent and read the, you know, seeing a better diagram. The roadway can be sanded exactly when and where needed. The apparatus is located in an inconspicuous portion of the frame and does not take up valuable storage space. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, 1913, they were thinking about this. You know, every time I'm investigating these old cars, and I'm sure it's the same with you, Kendra, you're looking at the cars here, and there's all these different ideas. They're still experimenting on, you know, the best way to do things. You know, different types of tires. I mentioned chains here, anti-skid chains. And here was another thing from 1913, and I just thought I'd share that with you.
I thought I remember us talking. It wasn't on the show, I don't think, but us talking before, and it was later than this, where there was some kind of bag with sand or grit that you could hang in the
Yes.
window, and it had that tube
Wow.
that went down.
That
Do you
would've been
remember
good.
that?
Oh, absolutely.
And it would spit it out right in front of your wheel as you
Yep.
were driving.
Yeah, and there was a little button or device on the dashboard you'd pull or you push a button. I forget
Yeah.
how that was. And it was NAPCO that made it.
Yes,
And
yes.
NAPCO is the ones, if you look at four-wheel drive Chevys from the 50s and earlier, chances are that was a NAPCO conversion to a four-wheel drive vehicle. And this, I believe, is 1960 is
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Wow, you're good.
Wow, I'm not even taking notes tonight. Look.
No, you aren't.
Maybe
You know.
maybe I should stop doing that. I think my memory gets better.
Yeah, you always have a good memory. So.
About
So-
important things.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
such as,
F troop.
yeah,
And-
that's true, yeah. And Sparkplug being the name of Barney Google's horse.
Yeah, Barney Google.
We were
that's
talking
it.
about spark plugs before, if you forgot. Okay, anyway, that's this. And
Okay.
you have some stuff you want to show
Yeah,
here.
you know, someone had called and said they wanted to donate some books to the museum, and of course, yeah, sure. And they ended up being these automobile engineering books, which are really cool books. If you ever get a chance to pick some of these up. Now, let's see. This says 1920, American Technical Society. I think they had earlier versions, though.
They might have.
I don't know if they updated them but they're full of diagrams and, everything you could think of. And I think pretty much the volume, they're separated by topics. This is like starters, wire diagrams, Ford starters, battery care. This one's clutches, transmissions. But they're really neat books. They got really neat illustrations.
I have a set of these at home I got, and they're neat, and I've used them actually for research on stuff
Yeah.
I've written or presented here on TV, and it's just some interesting stuff. As I said a little while ago, back then, this is 1920. I was talking about 1913 a moment ago, but there's so many different ideas going on about everything automotive.
Yeah.
And this road travel was all this brand new ideas. so.
Yeah. I know we use them here when they're trying to when they're trying to get a car running and there's a contraption. They don't know quite how it works, whether it's the carburetor or whatever, whether it's water pump, whatever. They'll dig these out and try to figure it out. Because, like I said, they have some neat diagrams and all this stuff in here. And so the books were really great, but what I wasn't expecting was the little backstory that went with them, which was pretty cool. So these were donated to us by a gentleman, Bruce Dillaplane. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Bruce. And he's out from Souderton. And he wrote this great little note, and he gave me some photos. So I'm gonna read you this little letter that came with it. The books were purchased by Walter L. Dillaplane in the early 1920s to learn auto mechanics. Walter was a trained blacksmith. He attended the Trenton School of Blacksmithing, and his blacksmith shop was located in Titusville, New Jersey. I think, if I'm reading his printing correctly. I do have a photo of the blacksmith shop. You can see that on your screen. And it says, his name at the top, Walter L. Dillaplane, Horseshoeing and General Blacksmithing. And there's a little sign at the side of the building, which I think is maybe pointing to a neighboring business. It's hard to read, but it does say on there, horse and dog medicines.
Ooh,
I think it's interesting.
how about that?
It's been a vet next door.
So that was a one-stop animal
I guess
thing.
so. Yeah. Get your horse shoed and then,
Fixed.
yeah.
Never mind.
So anyway, okay, that was his blacksmith shop located in Titusville, New Jersey. He relocated to his hometown of Yardley, Pennsylvania, on Afton Avenue, where he opened an auto repair shop. Walter became a Studebaker dealer and sold Sinclair gas. And in 1937, he sold a Studebaker fire truck to the Yardley Fire Company. The truck has been restored and is being used in parades today. So if you find yourself out in Yardley for a parade, look for a 37 Studebaker. You know where it came from. Just after World War II, Walter's son Alton Delaplane went into business with his father. Walter retired in 1958, and his son Alton could no longer work as a mechanic due to health reasons. Alton worked as a parts manager at a Buick dealer. So in 1958, the shop was rented and later sold. It is still a working inspection and repair shop today. So Bruce Delaplane, who gave these to us, is Alton's son. So Walter was his grandfather. Of course, like I said, he had a Studebaker dealership and a repair shop. He also included a photo of his Studebaker tow truck, which is a really cool truck. 24-hour service, Yardley, PA.
I think it's cool because it's parked in snow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Look at those tires. They're gonna do
We
some
were looking
serious
at this
damage.
picture earlier, and I made the comment to Kendra, here in Boyertown Body was a dealer for, I believe it was Holmes tow truck bodies. And I've seen a picture of one of these tow truck bodies on a Studebaker truck, and I'm thinking, boy, I wonder if that's it.
Yeah.
But
Who knows?
yeah, I'll have to investigate that.
We'll have to comb through our photos and see if we can
Yeah.
find one of our photos of this truck. Mm-hmm. But it's got the Studebaker logo on the door, Studebaker service. And they must have, of course, if he's a Studebaker dealer, driven Studebakers when he was a kid. This is a photo, too, of their car. Beautiful Studebaker. I really like this car. And the two boys in the front, Bruce is on the left, and then his brother Bob. There are little kids there standing in front of their family car. But and he even got this really cool Studebaker 15 years pin. I assume that means 15 years as a dealer. And it even has his name on the back, and it's pretty fancy actually. But it's interesting because it's all started because Walter, the blacksmith, wanted to learn how to be an auto mechanic. And to my understanding, he didn't, and I was talking to Bruce, he didn't really go to school for it. He got these books and he learned how to be an auto mechanic from these books. So that could maybe tell you a little bit about how in-depth these things really are. Obviously, he had some natural talent too.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
he did it.
But it's pretty amazing, and I can't find one now. Of course, now that I'm looking for it, some of the pages are smudged with his fingerprints, from like the oil or the grease, or which I think is neat. He used these pretty hard, so these are really neat, and we thank Bruce for donating this to us and also for providing this story, because that just makes it more interesting, I think.
And now you're here, I mean, you're working here, you're here a lot of hours a week, and I come as a volunteer here and there. And I think both of us are always meeting visitors coming, and quite often they have interesting stories, whether it's something like this or just the car that they own and interesting vehicle they have, all sorts of things. And it's sort of like a benefit for me. So
It is. It's like an unexpected perk sometimes.
oh yeah.
It's a neat story because we talk here about how the carriage factory here was able to transform into the truck body, and here's one guy who kind of saw things changing and retrained himself to move along with technology and saw that cars were, the future, and now he learned how to work on them. And it's really neat that it's so nice that his family kept this history, wrote it down for us, and we can share this story because it's a neat little story. So, Bruce, I hope you're watching, and again, thank you for all this. It's neat, and the great photos. They're really neat.
are.
Yeah. I guess
That's it.
that's our show for the month, and we want to thank Bill Schallenberger for bringing his weasel all the way. The weasel.
Yeah.
Poor Bill. He doesn't know. We refer to him as the weasel guy, and that
Yep,
doesn't
the
sound
weasel
very
guy.
nice, but so we thank him for bringing the weasel. Again, it's going to be here for a little bit. It's not going away tonight. Sometimes our guest cars leave right after filming wraps, but that's not the case tonight. It'll be here for a little bit. So make sure that you get in and see it firsthand. It really is pretty unique. So thank you, Bill, and thank you to Bruce for the story and the donation. And I should thank too Ted Goldsboro of the Lower Merion Historical Society, who passed along those little auto car tidbits and photographs. We always like getting little stuff like that. You guys know Dan and I by this point. We like stuff like that.
Yep.
So if you have anything like that you want to pass along to us, feel free. We'd love to see it. We love pictures, old ads. We love all that stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone have a safe and happy holiday season. Remember to stop in and get a 2017 museum calendar in the gift shop, just $9. And we hope to see you soon. And everyone, have a safe holiday. We will see you next year.
That's right.
I remembered. I
Very
get to
good.
say see you next year now.
Okay.
Well, Dan, I'm sure you knew that we had a gift shop.
Oh, yes, I do know.
Yes, so maybe our viewers at home do not know, but we've got lots of stuff for sale here. Please, if you're looking for like an automotive gift, something with our logo, a past Duryea Day item, those especially, what I last mentioned, the Duryea Day items, those are really pretty good, well marked down too, so you'll find some good deals here. These are from past Duryea days. Especially those glasses, they're really nice because they're nice heavy-duty glasses. I know I break glasses all the time at home, even just putting them in the dishwasher. These are really nice and heavy-duty. We also got lots of stuff with our logo on them. We got nice shirts, sweatshirts, hats, thermoses, coffee mugs, the travel mugs, and also very popular are diner mugs. If you come here for Diner Day, you've been here in the past, you've probably seen us selling those diner mugs. Well, they're not just for sale on Diner Day, they're for sale all the time. And they're really neat. So, come here for that. Postcards, other car stuff like puzzles, if you've got someone you're looking to buy a gift for, automotive, please stop in. And our stuff is really reasonably priced too. So you can't really complain about that.
I have some shirts, and I wear them proudly. Got some hats. I proudly wear that at Hershey.
Yeah.
Make sure people know where I'm from.
And we can find you easier.
Well, yeah. So if that's the case, we should have bright green ones.
Some camo ones.
Yeah.
Camo hats.
But
That
everybody
makes you
else
blend
wears
in.
camo hats. So.
But yeah, we've got lots of stuff here. So please, if you're looking for something, a gift for somebody or for yourself, don't forget us. And if you're a member of the museum, you do get a discount on your gift shop purchases. That's another thing. We do have membership levels. They're very reasonable. Individual memberships start at $25. That's a really great value. Members get a quarterly newsletter, and that covers a little bit of everything that goes on here. Some history, upcoming events, photos and details from past events. It's It's good, right? You like the
It
newsletter?
is, yeah. Especially when I've
Good answer.
contributed to it.
Especially your articles. Dan and I will both contribute stuff to the newsletter at times. And members also get into the museum free as many times as you want during the year. And that's a great value. You can come to Diner Day, both Diner Days, and not pay the admission, that means. And we have so many great events coming up this year that membership would come in handy. So, and if you're an individual, come to the museum 5 times, you might as well just buy a membership.
Right,
And then you'll get the newsletter.
Because, and I've noticed in the past couple years that we've kind of ramped up the membership benefits, you know, about having free events and stuff for the members, and so that's pretty good.
It's a great value. So if you have any questions about any of this, the membership, stuff for sale in the gift shop, come visit us here at 85 South Walnut Street, or call us at 610-367-2090, and we'd love to hear from you.